All right, this is the meeting of the ADA Committee of the Town of Old Lyme, March 15th, 21. Being recorded and will be posted on the town's YouTube channel. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming. I did send out the agenda last week, which is good. So if you all have it, and I just also sent out an email this morning with an article that I wanted to share with everybody. I just realized you're seeing me like from my chin up here. Forget it. You can see me. Oh my God, that's horrible. All right, that'll have to do. All right. So the first item on the agenda is approval of minutes, and we're going to table that once again. I really did spend time last week going through all of the old minutes and meetings, but I still don't have everything quite ready yet. So we'll do that next time, okay? And I'll send them out hopefully before, well in advance. Any questions about the meetings or anything like that?
Nope.
All right. I think we had a meeting March 16th because I didn't see that we canceled it. I was checking in with Michelle like a year ago, March 16th. But we didn't record the meetings back then, and I don't have any notes, so I'm going to have to go back. The May meeting was canceled.
Wait, I can look on my schedule if you want. You want to know if we had a meeting last week?
Yeah, would you check,
okay.
Stephanie?
I can check. Give me 2 minutes, and I'll check while you're
That's
talking.
fine. May was canceled. I have YouTube recordings of July and September of 20. And then we would have had a meeting in November, but I have a question about that as well. And then we decided to go quarterly instead of monthly for our meetings. And so far that seems to be okay. All right. So I just want to go through the old business. We had talked last fall. I had been approached by the open space folks about an ADA trail off of Whippoorwill as a Tree in the Gap trail. I have nothing to update you on. I haven't heard anything back from anybody about that. Has anyone else heard anything about that trail? Okay, so we'll just wait and see, and maybe when the weather gets a little bit better, they'll be out and about and doing more. They're probably limited, especially with all the snow that we had. And of course, now it's mud season, so. All right, and then I just had from last meeting's best practices for posting minutes to the town's website. Michelle, did you have anything you wanted to say about that, or?
Honestly, I forgot that we talked about that last time, but that is important. I think we need to come up with a standard way that the town clerk or whoever's posting minutes is doing it so that they're within the web page instead of having to download the attachment to make that more accessible. Because it seems to be dependent on who's posting them.
Yeah, I think too. So maybe we just need to have some kind of a guideline that comes out from our committee that we distribute to the chairman, the town clerk, and everybody, so that we have it done properly.
That's a great idea. Right. I'll work on that if you want.
Right up for us, Michelle? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, new business. So right before today's meeting, I sent you guys an article from the day. If you click on the attachment, you can see the full PDF, because sometimes if you don't subscribe, you can't see the whole article. But this was back from February, and I just love this article. So when you have a chance to read it, it's about a woman, and I don't know if you guys have ever been to Waterford Beach, but the beach is not that close to the parking lot like we have at White Sands, you know, where it's literally a step. You have to go down a path, and you have to go by a little cove and over a bridge to get to the beach. It's kind of very separated from the parking lot. And so this was a lifelong resident of Waterford, and she was having trouble. It's not wide enough for wheelchairs. It's hard to walk with strollers because there was a rocky soil, and she was having trouble trying to get anything done. And so she sat down with a clipboard and got signatures from people going by, and then she approached the town. And they have a whole project of where they made the pathway more accessible, and the town public works came in and did it, and they also put in a moldy mat. So this is just kind of like a model, I think, that we can look at as we continue to work on providing beach accessibility. And we've had some setbacks in that, but so if you have a few minutes, just take your time to read that. Any comments or questions about that?
Can you just remind me where we are with that beach mat thing? Did we lose the money in the budget for that? Yes.
Correct. Okay. And it's budget season right now for next year. So if we wanted to, I mean, in the very beginnings of the movie mat, we had considered grants or private funding. or sponsored funding, you can actually get some of the past pieces that have logos on them. So we can still pursue that.
Do you think that it would get approved in the budget this year or no? Or for next year?
I think we might be too late because the finance committee's already gone through the budget.
You know
Michelle.
what, Jen?
Is it too late to
We
suggest
might-
something to
we
Board of
might not
Finance
be-
for funding?
Hold on one second, Steph.
Yeah,
Almost.
it is kind of too late.
Well, we're doing meetings this week and can't do anything this week, next week, and then we're wrapping up.
Okay, yeah, it sounds like it's too late. I'm in a meeting.
I need your non-detect.
Okay.
All right, Steph, what did you have, say?
Well, I think that the school budget is going to a referendum. So they're not actually voting on the whole budget till later now. So there might be time to, I mean, Michelle, I guess you'd have to double check that, but there might be time to still add it in the budget because the school budget has to go to referendum. They're not going to approve the budget till later now.
Doesn't the school budget go to referendum every year?
I don't know, but I just know I'm on the building committee for the senior center,
Uh-huh.
and they were just Jerry was just putting in now for money for next year as well.
Okay. I'll
And
go
because
talk
she was
to,
told,
I'll go talk to the finance folks
okay,
and see if it's too late.
okay.
The Board of Finance? Well, I just asked Michelle Hayes. 'cause
No, I
she's-
meant the finance department. I meant Nicole.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there are grants, and I think this would be a good project for a grant in a way because it's a one-time expense. If we want to try investigating, I know AARP had a grant, a senior grant once a few years back I looked into. I don't know what the timeline is of that, but if you guys in the course of your everyday see an opportunity, let us know. And maybe we can pursue it for that.
Sounds good, Jen.
Perfect.
All right. The only other, I have added a couple of things to new business. First of all, I don't know if you guys drive by. I live over that way, so I drive by it all the time, Rogers Lake, and they put in the new bathrooms at Haynes Park. They look fantastic from the outside. They're not open yet. Missy, do you have any update from Parks and Rec about them?
Not really, other than they're just like really, and close. I mean, I don't even know if they're fully completed, but just about there. It looks amazing. Like, I think it looks so good, the placement of it, and I love it. I think it
Yeah.
looks great. So looking forward to getting that project wrapped up.
Yeah, and those will be accessible. And then I don't know if you noticed, but in the parking lot, which that parking lot at Haynes Park is mostly dirt, right?
Yeah, and they have those nice paved spots now, the handicap spots, which are
Two
Great.
beautiful paved handicap spots right next to that bathroom house.
right next to the bathroom. Yeah.
So that could be even a model for us if we look at other projects in town, going forward. Like we talked about Town Woods, not Town Woods, Cross Lane,
Yeah.
putting in paved spots there. So, whatever they did, I know that was part of a larger project that they did at Haynes Park, but, to have those two spots and have them be marked nicely to make it easier for people. So I just kind of wanted to point that out.
Yeah, so I have a question about Cross Lane because I feel like there's been so much discussion back and forth between putting spots down at the base of the play, down at the bottom of the playground, and then there was discussion about putting them up by the fence. But aren't there already handicap accessible spots up by the fence?
So the entrance to the playground is by the softball field, right? And the parking lot is on the other side by the tennis courts. They're separated.
Wait, the entrance to the playground is where?
Is by the softball field, by the baseball house with it.
Yeah.
extension
Okay.
house.
Yes.
And the paved parking is on the other side, back by the firehouse or by the tennis courts. So the question is, if you have a handicap parking spot way back and you have to get up to the entrance of the playground, you either have to go on the road where the cars drive and park, you know, on the side of the road when it gets busy season, or come around the other side, which is a dirt path leading from the parking lot around the back side of that house. You know what I'm talking about, Missy?
Yeah, for some reason, like my brain is so weird about this whole thing because I know that, and I think like I even was the one that suggested it. So it's not like I know that there's been a lot of talk about putting it down at the bottom, but it just seems like I went down there the other day.
Mhm.
It was underwater. I mean, that entire spot, and I almost took a picture
Oh,
and I didn't. I should have, but like right where we were talking about putting parking spots, it was underwater, and that's been Don's big concern since day one. Like he was like,
yeah,
you can't put parking there; it's underwater. And I just feel like it might be more beneficial for everyone if instead of putting the spot there, you took the entrance by the tennis courts and like made that a nicer path. Because it doesn't have to be paved; it just has to be really tightly packed. But
right.
you could either, you know, upgrade it or pave it or something, but that whole path going down and around,
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
remember you talking about that, Missy. I remember you talking about that before.
Yeah, I do too. And I don't know the water is a legit concern.
And if I'm being really honest, Don's been saying it for years. He was saying it before the playground was there, and I was kind of like, oh, whatever, it's fine. But the other day, it literally was like a pond. I mean, it was like, I mean, you know, there had been a lot of snow and whatever, but still, that's going to happen. You know, there's been nothing crazy out of this world storm wise. So, it just didn't seem like. It also didn't. It also, to me, I question it because technically, I think that gate is supposed to be locked, and it isn't. It's like a, you know, some weird gentleman's agreement or something that it doesn't ever get locked. But I feel like it's weird to put a, you know, if somebody new comes in or whatever, somebody takes over and they decide to start locking that gate again.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my 2 cents on it.
I mean, didn't we also talk maybe about putting an entrance to the playground on the side closer to the parking lot? But
Well, I mean, that gate opens right there, like on the side of the parking lot. You can get into the playground that way. There is a gate.
so as I'm working on the minutes, catching up on the minutes from the previous months. We talked about going and taking a field trip to the beach and to the park. And I do think that we should do that. Obviously today it being 23 degrees and windy, definitely not a good option. But how about we set a date for a field trip to those two locations? It would take about an hour, you know, to look at the beach and to look at the park at Cross Lane. And then that will give us a better idea of what we're.
Okay.
Does that sound?
Sounds good to me. I like
Optional,
field
it'll be
trip.
outside, and we can have our masks on and keep the distance and be outside and feel like we're safer, if everyone's comfortable with that.
Sure.
Say that one more time, Jen. You're talking about September?
Well, our next meeting, since we're only meeting quarterly now, you know, before our next meeting, I'll set a date separate and we'll meet outside when the weather's better. So maybe
Yeah,
May, you know, beginning of May
yeah.
before Memorial Day.
Yeah, that's totally fine. As long as we're, you know, over 6 feet apart, I'm good with it. You know,
Yep, and we'll
because-
be outside, we'll wear our masks
Yep.
and we'll stay distant.
Mhm.
And we'll
Sounds
drive
good
our
to
own
me.
separate cars to the location and maybe spend no more than 15 minutes at each location. That minimizes
Sounds-
the risk for all of us.
Sounds good to me, Jen.
All right, good. My other item under old business or other is the assisted listening devices. So we did have an update on that, and of course, at the time of our last meeting, there really were not a lot of in-person meetings at all. But Michelle, could you address like what's going to happen going forward into the future? Because we think that hybrid meetings are going to be here to stay. And then we did have a meeting last week with Sennheiser, because what we're trying to do is prepare the meeting hall. Because if we have hybrid meetings right in the future, that means some people will be in person and some people will be calling or dialing or cameraing in remotely.
I don't know if the orders.
So Michelle, what do you think about that? Have you heard from the state level what's going to happen?
No, they haven't made a determination about how long they're gonna, if it's gonna be like a permanent change. There are some bills at the legislature asking for it to be a permanent change, that you can have these meetings remotely. Tim is more wanting people to have in-person meetings because every meeting that's not in person, I have to personally start, as you know. There's sort of no way around that unless boards and commissions start budgeting for their own WebEx account, which is expensive. So I'm not sure how it's going to shake out for us here. Still to be determined.
Would you say
Michelle,
that
how
a lot
much
of
do you-
boards, more meetings are happening in person now?
No. The only people who are having hybrid meetings right now are Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance. Oh, and Park and Rec. Other than that, everyone else is using the WebEx virtual.
So what do you mean by hybrid?
So they have some people come in person and they use the conference call line. And the trick with that is it still has to be recorded. So then they use a recorder, get the recording to Michelle, gives it to me, then I have to turn it into a video so that I can post it on our YouTube channel, which is a pain, to be honest with you. So kind of hope we don't continue to do that because it makes a lot more work for me. But yeah, so we'll see.
Can I ask a question, Michelle, about that? Oh, sorry, Jen.
Yeah.
Do you want me to
No,
wait?
go ahead.
What do you, and I'm only asking because how much does it cost you to do the WebEx account every month?
I think we pay like $300 a year.
Okay, because right now, I know at the senior center, we use Zoom, which is $15 a month, and we can record. In fact, I send you our recordings for our meetings. And you can add more users for a fee. I don't know how much more it is, but I know like the Groton Senior Center has more than one user, so that more than one person could use it at a time.
It doesn't-
I wonder if that's another.
Stephanie, I know it goes like we have an account, we use it all the time and it's like $15 a month. You can add more users, but it gets very expensive because you can only have one admin and then everybody else can only run a meeting for like 40 minutes, which wouldn't work. I think, which wouldn't work.
No, that's not what I mean. I hear what you're saying with the free account. No, there is a way you can get more than one. You can get a thing with more than one user where you can simultaneously hold meetings and there's no limit on it.
Right.
I just don't know the price other than what we're paying, but I'm wondering from a ADA perspective, if it's something that should continue because it makes it, even after the pandemic, available for people with disabilities that might have trouble getting, you know what I mean? I just some food for thought, you know what I mean?
I hear you. It's an administrative issue. And we have all our boards and commissions trained on WebEx to now train them on, I'm really not open to switching platforms. And with my experience with the boards and commissions, they still struggle with the technology, even though we've been doing this for a year. So somehow we have to figure out if we are going to do this, how can not be involved because every single week I have multiple nighttime meetings because of the way that this has been, which has been okay for the year, but it can't be like that indefinitely. So,
Well, there has to talk about in the new fiscal year how we're going to do things because we met with the gentleman from Sennheiser, Kevin, and he looked at our system. They installed our system in our meeting hall because we have the microphone system, right? And that's what the assisted listening devices tap into, and we tested them. It works great still to this day. So if someone comes in and has a hearing issue, they can use one of those. They either use their own headphones and plug it in, or they use a special device to listen to what's being spoken into the microphone. What is different when you're on that using the conference call, because you're not using the microphone. And then for people to call in, it's hard when you're on the telephone to know who else is on the telephone that might want to make a comment or how you're going to vote on certain things. So there's a lot of tech complications that go into it, and we're trying to address them going forward. So I guess we'll just have to kind of keep our eyes on things and keep the needs of everybody in mind as we go forward. And I agree, Stephanie, that it does make it easier for some people who might be not able to get out easily to still participate in town government.
Yeah, I think that's one thing we've come to take and learn from this whole experience, you know? It definitely, it opens up their world more.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
completely agree with you. And like, I love having my kindness committees virtual because it makes it a lot easier for people. But we have to remember that we are more tech savvy than 90% of the other boards and commissions.
Mhm.
They really need a lot of hand holding with technology. So like Steph, like you know how to use Zoom. Like in the beginning, we weren't quite like when you sent the meeting recording, we had to work through that, but now you have that down. The building committee does that for the senior center as well, and then I can take that and put it online. But I honestly don't really know that a lot of the other boards and commissions would be able to handle that.
Gotcha.
on
Oh,
their
that's a
own.
shame. That's a shame. But I hear you too, and you can't be everywhere at once. So, you know, you need some downtime too.
So
Yeah.
everywhere at once?
It's too bad they couldn't have somebody as a backup. You know what I mean for you, Michelle? Like,
Well, Jenna's
So
my
you-
backup,
I'm
actually.
the backup.
hey. Well,
Yeah,
she's
it's
a
still
pretty
a
good
lot.
backup. That's all I gotta say. You know.
It's also challenging because, you know, most of our boards and commissions are volunteer people. They're not employees of the town. And so, you know, the town hall operates at a 9 to 4 schedule. So when you're talking about anything after 4 o'clock, it gets complicated too. So,
Right. Right.
um,
Well, I know. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just thinking. I know that you don't want to switch, and I totally respect that. But I know with my Zoom, when I'm the one that has it, and when I have different groups that need to use it, you know, I just go on, you know, flip on for 5 minutes and, you know, flip off. You know what I mean? Or, you know, or hit record and do, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. But it definitely helps if you're not having to, you know, I think the after hours is the tough part that makes it difficult for everybody, you know. So, gotcha.
Yeah, it's the clear one, right? Yes, it's still enforced.
You might be able to hear Michelle.
Are you,
yeah, that's in the front. So, we haven't had any, you know, requests for accommodations. I haven't heard from the public about anything in quite some time, so that's been very quiet in terms of I'm the designated person for the town. So that's all been good. Is there any other business that we want to talk about today?
Not on my end.
How cute Misty is with everything she does for her kid and that adorable thing on her chalkboard for St. Patrick's Day behind her.
Thanks.
Rainbow.
LMSB is doing that cute little project. Mary showed me, Missy, the boxes, those white boxes, and they've got
They're
like rainbow
cute, right?
paper. Oh my gosh. If my kid wasn't 14, I would have taken one of those.
I know, they're really
Hmm.
cute. Except did she tell you what happened? That I put them all together Thursday night and then we left some on the porch like Friday for people that couldn't pick up before 4:30. And Mary had to go to the office Saturday morning and like the yard was littered with leprechaun traps, like
All the
everywhere.
coins.
Coins, tissue paper, like the wind took all the boxes. So
Oh.
I know. But she like found most of the materials and I'm reconstructing them now. Typical.
Oh, no, you know that saying, Missy, no good deed.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So Missy, I know that Parks and Rec didn't have their March meeting. There's been no discussion or decision yet about the summer program yet.
Nothing.
Okay,
Not yet.
we'll wait.
Yeah. So who knows? Summer's hard.
Hey, Jen, just to get back to you about last March, the meeting last March,
Yep.
I actually wasn't going to be there for that meeting because my daughter had a class thing which got canceled.
Oh,
So I don't know but that was right when we were all closing. So I
Oh.
wonder if it got, you know, I
Well,
mean,
like, literally- yeah.
we
No,
closed the
I-
center on the 16th. You know,
Right.
we closed the
And
center
then
on
the school
16th.
closed and everything, so
When was the meeting supposed to be?
March 16th, like literally the Monday after the shutdown.
Yeah, and I
I
was
don't think
here
there's
that
anybody
day
had it.
after all because of the shutdown.
Maybe it was one of those things, Michelle, where like you and I, but we didn't really have a meeting, but because there was.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe
We're
Missy
trying
and
to touch
Stephanie
base.
couldn't come because,
I know I wasn't there because I
Okay.
like March 13th, I basically haven't been back. So no way I was there.
all right. Thank you for
All
joining,
right.
Stephanie.
No, no problem.
All right, is there anything else that we want to bring up or discuss?
No.
All right, well,
Ben,
thank
I'm
you.
gonna call you in your office after this meeting's over, okay? I
Okay,
wanna
that's fair.
give you some good information about somebody that you know, we work with, so.
Okay. Our next scheduled meeting is June 21st, and I will schedule a date before then, probably early May, that we can take our field trip.
Yay.
And
Thanks.
if anything comes up between now and then, I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tight 30 minutes,
you,
meeting
guys.
adjourned.
Thanks, Ben.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for
Bye. Nice to
supporting
see
this
you
channel.
guys.
Bye. Nice to
Take
see you,
care.
Missy.